In a state known for catastrophes, the Chargers suffer the third biggest playoff collapse in NFL history. The LA Rams pick up Matthew Stafford's contract for next year, and Kawhi Leonard thinks the Clippers are playing out of control. Good morning. I'm James. This is your daily dose of sports and Stark for the greatest sports city in the world, Los Angeles. This is the faithful Angelenos Morning Report. It's January 15th, 2023, Sunday, and please believe that I thank God that I am now back where there's sunshine, where there's internet, with my extremely hot wife. I am happy for all of those things. Take a moment and thank God for the good things that you have in your life. And I realize that's a big ask right now if you're a Chargers fan, but trust me, there's something. If you like the content we put out about LA sports, clickety-clack the like button. Clickety-clack the subscribe button. There's a notifications bell. Hit that. It'll let you know when we drop new content. Sharing is caring. Let people know we exist. And comment. After last night's game, I'm sure you guys have certain things on your mind. Before we go through the news and notes, a look at the scoreboard. The Chargers led by 27 points. Squandered the whole damn thing. A field goal as time expires lifts Jacksonville to a 31-30 victory over the Bolts. The question that I have, and I don't mean it to troll, is did the Chargers choke? We'll talk more about that in a minute. 7th-ranked UCLA earns a 13th consecutive victory with a 68-54 victory over Colorado. Jaime Jaquez Jr. scores 23 points for the Bruins. Boogie Ellis scored 17 to lead the USC as the Trojans took down Utah, basketball only, 71-56. By the way, also in that game, Vince Iwuchukwu, who suffered cardiac arrest over the summer, scored his first 6 points of the season for USC. Jonathan Quick struggled again. New Jersey overwhelmed the Kings 5-2. Meanwhile, today there's a doubleheader going on over at Crypto.com Arena. Philadelphia is in town to play the Lakers. That game's at 6:30, and the Rockets will be there earlier to play the Clippers at noon. We choked, Kyle Van Noy said. And I hesitate to use the word choked, because that's a word that you don't want to hear as an athlete. You don't even want to hear it as a man, right? You're tooling around day, you have the radio on, you hear those erectile dysfunction ads. Hey guys, are you choking in the bedroom? Man, F you for bringing that up, right? And if I go to a sports bar, some jackass taunts you because he thinks your team chokes, man, there might be a knife fight. Somebody might have to go. So I don't want to sit there and try and say, oh, the Chargers choked. The only reason I bring that up is because Kyle Van Noy did. It is the third biggest lead surrendered in the history of NFL playoffs. It's the biggest lead ever surrendered by the Chargers. It's the largest rally in Jaguars history. So what I want to do is I don't want to go for cheap shots for views. That's ridiculous. It's not cool. I don't even hate LA Charger fans. I don't hate the team. I don't hate the players. But after a loss like that, tough questions have to be asked. They just have to. And we're going to have to spend a while talking about it. Because this collapse is so breathtaking that you almost forget you have to give the Jaguars credit. And I want to do that. For example, I credit the Jaguars for sticking with their original game plan as long as possible, which was running the ball against the Chargers' porous run defense. Travis Etienne, he rushed for more than 100 yards. I mean, imagine the pressure you must feel to abandon the run when you're down by 27 points. Moreover, Doug Peterson's halftime interview, he's the coach for Jacksonville, his halftime interview with the NBC sideline lady was extremely candid. Peterson said he wasn't going to change the plan, but he was going to go up tempo. And that worked like a charm because the Chargers never had a chance to counter that with defensive strategy. Jacksonville ran 12 no-huddle plays in the second half, and they averaged more than 10 yards per play on the no-huddle. The 4th and 1 call, by the way, with Etienne going wide instead of a quarterback sneak, stroke of genius. So yeah, you got to give credit to Jacksonville on some point. But while they party up in North Florida, and by the way, I've been there, North Florida looks a surprising amount like Alabama. So break out the moonshine, guys, and I get it. Have an orgy in the double wide trailers. You guys got the W, I understand. But to me, the bigger question is simple and it's ugly. How bad did the Chargers choke, or did they? They led by 3 scores in the first quarter alone, 24-0 halfway through the second quarter, 27-0 overall. They won the turnover battle 5-0, and Asante Samuel picked off Trevor Lawrence 3 times. Now, the turnover thing has happened before, having a turnover advantage of 5. But since 2000, the team that has won the turnover battle by 5 is 142-5-1. Counting last night. So I don't like using the word choke, but if I were to summarize what I thought of the Chargers last night without using the word choke, it would be the same words that I thought of them as a team before the season started. They're ass backward. Me, the type of team, yeah, you want a franchise quarterback, but the type of team that I want focuses on running the football, focuses on stopping the run. That's the type of football I believe in. And the Chargers didn't do that. Even if the Bolts had a remotely trustworthy running game, they win just on the basis of killing the clock in the second half. That would have been the way I looked at it. But Austin Eckler rushed for only 35 yards. So my question, we could talk choke or not choke, but my bigger question is Austin Eckler overrated? NBC ran this graphic of backs who led the league in touchdowns in consecutive seasons. Do you really believe Austin Eckler is in the same conversation as Marshall Faulk? Do you? Do you believe he's in the same conversation as Priest Holmes, Todd Gurley, Sean Alexander? Because I sure as hell wouldn't put him there. He's never rushed for 1,000 yards in a season. Even if you added the 35 paltry yards he got last night, he's still not up to 1,000. Or is Eckler just simply a guy who can cross the goal line at the opponent's too? Right? I don't think there are certain accusations that are going to be thrown around that I do not think are fair. I don't think it's fair to include Mike Williams' absence as a thing to clown the Bolts about. True, you could argue that he might have made a little bit of a difference, but they had already scored 30 points. They didn't need points. They needed just 1 or 2 more plays. Nobody on the franchise could make a play in the second half. Nobody. Anybody could have made it. It didn't necessarily have to be Mike Williams, so I don't want to pin it on the injury in the Denver game. I also don't think it's necessarily fair to pin it on Joey Bosa for throwing a helmet, although that was extremely stupid. I don't think it's fair to pin it on Cameron Dicker for missing a field goal. I think running the ball kills the clock. I think running the ball keeps your own defense off the field so they don't fall apart in the first place. So what about a defensive collapse? Possible. I would give you that. You've heard of the quarterback rating, of course, and I can't explain what the hell it is. I never could. But I know this. After 8 series, Trevor Lawrence's quarterback rating was 0.0. Translation, he didn't even have a rating. He was facing Dean Wormer like he was on double secret probation at Faber College. Mr. Lawrence, 0.0. But his final 5 series, Lawrence's rating was 142.6. So you have these vultures now circling over Coach Brandon Staley. And if you look up to the sky and count the vultures, that fat vulture wearing a visor is Sean Payton. Now, NBC pregame gossip snake Mike Florio is really pimping the hell out of Sean Payton. If the Chargers went that route, the Chargers would have to cut some fat checks and give over a lot of team power to Sean Payton. And I don't think that's a smart idea. I do not believe he deserves it. Sean Payton has won a Super Bowl. A lot of coaches have won 1 Super Bowl. But he only won 1 with a Hall of Fame quarterback. The man also was suspended for the NFL for an entire year for a headhunting scandal. And he complained so much that the NFL actually changed replay just to get him to shut the hell up. And he only shut the hell up for about 30 seconds anyway. Oh, he can coach, but I don't like him. So I would rather have Staley, frankly. You want a more likely scenario going into the Chargers offseason. The Chargers are going to look for a fall guy. Head coaches do it all the time. You find a scapegoat on your own staff, you cut him. I believe that Staley already has a scapegoat in offensive coordinator Joe Lombardi. Don't be surprised if Lombardi gets the axe. Consider the jet sweep toward the end of the first half. One that came on 3rd and short. Michael Bandy fumbled. LA had to punt. Jacksonville marched Schwartz's first touchdown before halftime. The Chargers are not efficient at jet sweeps. I'm trying to cover a lot of ground for you guys. There are a lot of reasons to feel awful about last night's game, but I also have one more to add to the list because it directly impacts the Chargers' offseason. Justin Herbert will be in the last year of his rookie contract. He's going to be eligible for one of those big money extensions. If you recall from back in the day, the Seahawks built a Super Bowl caliber team around a young quarterback they liked named Russell Wilson and won the title. The idea being is that you think you have a franchise quarterback who's getting paid just a little bit and all this cap space, you just load him up with talent everywhere else. And that's what the Chargers did. But when that quarterback gets his big money contract, you've got to cut a lot of people to make it fit. And that's where the Chargers might be. Herbert, I have been reading, could get a deal worth up to $50 million a year. That is almost 1/4 of the salary cap. So theoretically, you're going to have to cut a lot of players. I would probably reckon that one of the first might be cornerback J.C. Jackson. They signed him as a free agent to a massive contract. He was injured way too often to make a difference. Also, I would think it's possible that defensive back Bryce Callahan has priced himself out of the Chargers' budget. If it were me, I would say the Chargers' priorities are run defense. I would suggest that means keeping Drew tranquil and drafting a defensive line. I also think the wide receivers are getting a little long in the tooth. Maybe run offense becomes the third priority. But I want to see what they have with a healthy offensive line. So let me know what you think about the Chargers, because there was a lot to get to today. The Rams will pick up the option and bonus for quarterback Matthew Stafford next season. Now, NFL contracts can be a little wonky. The point is he's going to get $62 million guaranteed. For his part, Stafford says he feels very comfortable, and that matters. He had an elbow issue before the season, then he got placed in concussion protocol, finally a bruised spinal cord. So yeah, dude, you needed to put your feet up and kick back for a spell. We spoke yesterday about how Sean McVay will also have the offseason of a workaholic, which might not be all that healthy, but he's the one who chose this life. He needs to find a new offensive coordinator. We mentioned that. But the NFL Network is reporting that defensive line coach Eric Henderson is getting considered as a defensive coordinator. Greg Olsen would also be in line for a promotion somewhere, if not LA, as an offensive coordinator. And tight ends coach Thomas Brown is being considered as a potential head coach for Houston. Mr. Brown, I say this out of love and respect. The Houston Texans do hire black coaches. They do not have a good history with the black coaches. There's a difference. People have been asking me about Cliff Kingsbury, the coach for who was recently fired by the Cardinals. Could he replace Sean McVay? And now that Sean McVay is staying, could he come in as the offensive coordinator? I had skepticism for a variety of reasons, but whatever it turned out, my reasons are completely irrelevant. He is turning teams down for interviews. One would presume that the Rams might have been on the list of teams that called. Kingsbury is taking some understandable vacay in a place that I do not understand at all. He's in Thailand. When I found out he was in Thailand, the first thing I did was check on his relationship status, because let's be real. I'm a divorced middle-aged guy. And if I sat there, if I were not married right now, if I didn't get remarried and I said, hey guys, I'm taking a vacation to Thailand, you'd be like, oh really? Didn't have that postage for the mail order bride. I get it, yeah. Now for the record, Kingsbury does have a girlfriend who is rather delightful to look at. She's splashing around the waters somewhere in Asia, and that makes me happy. Because if you are forced to coach Kyler Murray for 3 or 4 years, yeah, I think you deserve a smoking hot girlfriend and some well-needed downtime. Kawhi Leonard believes the Clippers are struggling not due to lack of effort, but due to execution. And I have to be honest with you, I was just daring him to say lack of effort, right? Because if anybody would know about lack of effort, right, Mr. Load Management. Anyway, the Clippers have lost 7 of 8 games. And Leonard might be right. He believes turnovers have a lot to do with it. You might have noticed Coach Tyronn Lue has started different guards. So I think Lue actually believes that the Clippers are playing a little bit too loose with the ball. By the way, for all the struggles the Lakers have had, the Clippers are just 22-22. So there is that. I want to repeat this as a mantra. The first school to sanity wins. And what I mean by that, whether it's USC or UCLA, the first school to take defense seriously wins. The Bruins have added an edge rusher, Peter Barrio, from Campbell Hall High School in California. So yeah, okay, you've added depth at edge rusher. But he's not a scholarship player. He's a walk-on. Does that? I don't think that means the Bruins are taking defense seriously yet, frankly. No disrespect to Mr. Barrio. I hope he has a great career. I'd love to be wrong. I'm just saying, as a school that takes defense seriously, are they really just having walk-ons and not going crazy trying to recruit elite defensive prospects? They've also added a junior college offensive lineman to UCLA. Caleb Walker is coming over from college of the Sequoias. To his credit, Gareth Bale did not just head for the golf course and stay there. He did return to LA and thanked his teammates and coaches over at LAFC. He also recorded a thank you clip to the LAFC fan base, which is nice. We also know of at least 4 legit contributors who have left the black and gold since the MLS Cup final. There could be a 5th. MLSsoccer.com is reporting backup forward Kwadwo Opoku is drawing a lot of trade interest. I mention that because I want to be complete, but let's be real. You know it and I know it. The big story is the LA Chargers. Let me know what you think in the comments thread. And if you like the content we put out, don't forget to subscribe to Faithful Angelenos. We talk LA sports every single day here. I'm James. Thanks for watching. We'll be back tomorrow. Faithful Angelenos is a Corte El Queso production. Take care.